Hey everyone, welcome to the deep dive. Now this one's a little different.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, kind of a peek behind the curtain of how we put these deep dives together.
Exactly.
Because you see, you're actually listening to the first ever AI generated episode of the deep dive.
Which is?
We're partnering up with Google's NotebookLM to really kind of explore how AI is changing the way we create and consume information. And well, we figured, why not start with this?
And the really cool thing is you're experiencing it firsthand. Like, you're not just hearing us talk about AI, you're listening to it.
Exactly, yeah. So for anyone who might be new to the deep dive, normally would be, up to our ears in research, articles, books, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And we try to distill it all down into something, digestible. But this time, we're doing things a little differently.
A little bit.
We're feeding all that source material into NotebookLM, which is this, it's an incredibly powerful AI tool.
It's like, imagine having a supercharged research assistant, right?
Sure, yeah.
But here's the thing, it doesn't just scan Wikipedia.
Right.
We're talking academic papers, articles. We even threw in some transcribed conversations in there just to mix it up.
Wow.
All of that gets analyzed to create this really rich understanding of the topic.
Okay, so you're giving NotebookLM this mountain of information.
Mountain, that's a good word for it.
Articles, research papers, even transcripts of podcasts, right?
Yep, that's right.
How does it take all that and turn it into a conversation?
Right.
Like, how does it go from raw data to this back and forth that, that we can actually follow? What's the magic trick?
It's all about finding the connections, finding the key insights that are kind of buried within all that data.
Okay.
So imagine you're trying to bake a cake, right? But instead of having a recipe, you've just got a pantry full of ingredients.
Okay, I like where you're going with this.
NotebookLM, it sifts through all those ingredients, the flour, the sugar, the eggs, figures out the exact combination and the process to make, a delicious cake.
Or in our case, a podcast conversation.
Exactly. And it even picks up on potential arguments, different perspectives within that source material.
So it's not just copying and pasting information, it's actually understanding it.
Oh, yeah.
It's understanding it and then structuring it in a way that makes sense for someone who's listening.
That's exactly it. It's like having, like a master chef in the kitchen of knowledge,
Something like that.
And the really amazing part is this AI, it's constantly learning and adapting. So it looks at other successful podcasts, figures out what makes them tick, the tone, the pacing, how the hosts interact, all of it, and then it uses that to improve its own process.
Wow. It's learning how to have a conversation, basically.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
That brings up a really interesting point.
Yeah.
When most people think of AI,
right,
we think of something that's very logical, right? Data-driven.
Very rational.
Yeah, very rational.
Yeah.
Can AI actually be interesting? Can it capture like the nuances of the way we talk to each other?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And it's something that a lot of people kind of get hung up on, this idea that AI is just going to make everything sound robotic or formulaic. But think about it this way. Think about a time when you've been like totally sucked into a really good nonfiction book.
Okay, yeah.
The author, they're taking these complex ideas, right? And they're making it flow like a story.
Right.
That's what this AI is designed to do.
Right.
It's not just giving you the bullet points, it's structuring them in a way that's engaging, That's easy to follow.
So it's not just about presenting the information.
Right.
It's about presenting it in a way that like resonates with us, right?
Yeah.
Like that keeps us hooked.
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. This technology has the potential to really democratize podcasting.
Okay.
To make it accessible to anyone who has an idea.
Wow.
Regardless of their technical skills,
Yeah.
Imagine a world where anyone, literally anyone, could create a really high-quality podcast just by feeding their research, their ideas into an AI like NotebookLM.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Like you're basically saying it's like having a personal podcast producer.
There you go.
Right at your fingertips.
Exactly. And it's not just about creating more podcasts, it's about creating more personalized experiences.
Okay.
Imagine listening to a podcast about, let's say, the history of jazz.
Right.
But it's tailored specifically to you, to your interests, to your learning style.
That would be amazing. No more like slogging through hours of content trying to find that one little nugget that you're really looking for. You could just get right to the good stuff.
You got it. It's about giving listeners the power to curate their own learning journey, to really explore these topics at their own pace and in a way that that speaks to them.
This all sounds incredible, but I'm sure some people listening are probably thinking, well, if AI can do all of this, what happens to human creativity, right?
Right.
Like, are we all out of a job now?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a valid one for sure.
Right.
But I think we need to remember that AI, it's a tool,
Okay.
a very, very powerful tool,
Right.
but a tool nonetheless. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah.
It all depends on us, on how we choose to use it.
Right. So it's not about AI replacing humans.
Right.
It's about AI working with us,
Exactly.
augmenting our capabilities.
There you go. Think of it this way. AI can handle all the heavy lifting,
Yeah.
the research, the organization, all the technical stuff that goes into producing something like this.
Okay.
That then frees us up, the human creators, to focus on what we do best, which is bringing our own unique perspective, our insights, that creative spark.
It's about that human touch.
Yes.
That little bit of creativity, that little bit of insight that really makes a podcast or anything, compelling.
Absolutely. And that's something that AI, at least for now, just can't replicate.
Yeah.
The best podcasts, they're more than just a collection of facts, right? It's a conversation. It's a shared journey of discovery between the hosts and the listeners. And that requires a level of empathy and nuance and understanding that is uniquely human.
It really highlights how important that connection is between the hosts and the audience, and it's not just the hosts, it's the connection between the listeners too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like podcasts, they spark these conversations that they go way beyond just the episode itself. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like think about all those online forums, the discussions happening on social media, even people meeting up in real life.
Yeah.
Because they bonded over this shared love of a particular podcast.
It's true. It's true.
It's kind of like a virtual campfire,
Yeah.
Everybody's gathered around listening to the same stories, sharing their thoughts.
I like that.
And those conversations, they can get pretty lively.
Yeah, they do. They do.
But just like a real campfire.
Okay.
The best podcasts, they leave you with this warm feeling, right?
Okay.
Maybe some new ideas to chew on and often, a burning question or two.
Speaking of burning questions, this whole thing has really got me thinking.
Yeah.
If a machine can learn how to have a conversation, what does that even tell us about the power of conversation itself?
That's a really deep question.
Yeah.
And I think in a world that's just like bombarded with information all the time, it's often the conversations, that cut through all that noise and really stick with us.
It's in those moments where we connect with someone, maybe challenge our own assumptions, or even discover something new about ourselves.
Right, exactly.
So as we kind of venture further into this world of AI and AI generated content, we can't lose sight of that human element, right?
I agree.
We gotta keep asking those questions. We gotta keep sharing our own stories, and most importantly, keep those conversations going.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Because ultimately, it's those conversations, right?
Yeah.
It's those conversations that shape how we see the world and how we see each other.
Well said.
Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive here into the world of AI generated podcasts.
Fascinating stuff.
We talked about the tech behind it, the potential it has, and really how important that human connection still is.
Absolutely.
In a world that's becoming more and more driven by artificial intelligence.
It's been a really thought-provoking conversation.
It has, and we always want to hear from you.
Yes.
What really resonated with you? What questions are still swirling around in your head? Head over to our social media pages. Let us know.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Exactly. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and most importantly, keep those conversations flowing.